welcome to another Teen Talk Tuesday. My name is Miss Lindsay, and today I will be reading a personal favorite of mine, To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And To All the Boys I've Loved Before is now a movie that you can catch on Netflix. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Here we go. I like to save things, not important things like whales or people or the environment. Silly things, porcelain bells, the kind that you get at souvenir shops. Cookie cutters you'll never use, because who needs a cookie in the shape of a foot? Ribbons for your hair. Love letters. All of the things I save. I guess you could say my love letters are my most prized possession. I keep my letters in a teal hatbox my mom bought me from a vintage store downtown. They aren't love letters that someone else wrote for me. I don't have any of those. These are the ones I've written. There's one for every boy I've ever loved. 5 in all. When I write, I hold nothing back. I write like he'll never read it, because he never will. Every secret thought, every careful observation, everything I've saved up inside me, I put it all in a letter. When I'm done, I seal it, I address it, and then I put it in my teal hatbox. They're not love letters in the strictest sense of my word. The letters are for when I don't want to be in love anymore. They're for goodbye, because after I write my letter, I'm no longer consumed by my all-consuming love. I can eat my cereal and not wonder if he likes bananas over his Cheerios too. I can sing along to love songs and not be singing them to him. If love is like a possession, maybe my letters are like my exorcisms. My letters set me free, or at least they're supposed to. Here we go. Chapter 1. Josh is Margot's boyfriend, but I guess you could say my whole family is a little bit in love with him. It's hard to say who most of all. Before he was Margot's boyfriend, he was just Josh. He was always there. I say always, but I guess that's not true. He moved next door 5 years ago, but it feels like always. My dad loves Josh because he's a boy, and my dad is surrounded by girls. I mean it. All day long, he's surrounded by females. My dad is an OB-GYN, and he also happens to be the father of 3 daughters. So it's like girls, girls, girls all day. He also likes Josh because Josh likes comics, and he'll go fishing with him. My dad tried to take us fishing once, and I cried when my shoes got wet on them. And Margot cried when her book got wet. And Kitty cried because Kitty was still practically a baby. Kitty loves Josh because he'll play cards with her and not get bored. Or at least pretend not to get bored. They make deals with each other. If I win this next hand, you have to make me a toasted, crunchy peanut butter sandwich. No crust. That's Kitty. Inevitably, there won't be crunchy peanut butter, and Josh will say, too bad, pick something else. But then Kitty will wear him down, and he'll run out and buy some. Because that's Josh. If I had to say why Margot loves him, I think maybe I would say it's because we all do. We are in the living room. Kitty is pasting pictures of dogs to a giant piece of cardboard. There's paper and scraps all around her. Humming to herself, she says, when Daddy asks me what I want for Christmas, I'm just going to say, pick any one of these breeds and we'll be good. Margot and Josh are on the couch. I'm lying on the floor, watching TV. Josh popped a big bowl of popcorn, and I devote myself to it, handfuls and handfuls of it. A commercial comes on for perfume. A girl is running around the streets of Paris in an orchid-colored halter dress that's as thin as tissue paper. What I wouldn't give to be that girl in that tissue paper dress, running around Paris in the springtime. I sit up so suddenly I choke on a kernel of popcorn, which when coughs, I say, Margot, let's meet in Paris for my spring break. I'm already picturing myself twirling with a pistachio macaron in one hand and a raspberry one in the other. Margot's eyes lit up. You think Daddy will let us? Sure, it's culture. He'll have to let me. But it's true that I've never flown by myself before. And also I've never even left the country before. Would Margot meet me in the airport, or would I have to find my own way to the hostel? Josh must see the sudden worry on my face because he says, Don't worry, your dad will definitely let you go if I'm with you. I brighten. Yeah, we can stay at hostels and just eat pastries and cheese for all of our meals. We can go to Jim Morrison's grave, Josh goes in. We can go to a parfume and get our personal scents done, I cheer, and Josh snorts. I'm pretty sure getting our scents done at a parfume would cost the same as a week's stay at a hostel, he says. He nudges Margot. Your sister suffers from delusions of grandeur. She's the fanciest of the three of us, Margot agrees. What about me? Kitty whimpers. You? I scoffed. You're the least fancy song girl. I have to beg you to wash your feet at night, much less take a shower. Kitty's face gets pinched and red. I wasn't talking about that, you dodo bird. I was talking about Paris. Airily, I wave her off. You're too little to stay at a hostel. She crawls over to Margot and climbs in her lap, even though she's 9, and 9 is too big to sit on people's laps. Margot, you'll let me go, won't you? Well, maybe it could be a family vacation, Margot says, kissing her cheek. You and Lara Jean and Daddy could all come. I frowned. That's not at all the Paris trip I was imagining. Over Kitty's head, Josh mouths to me. We'll talk later. And I give him a discreet heads up. It's later that night. Josh is long gone. Kitty and our dad are asleep. We are in the kitchen. Margot is at the table on her computer. I'm sitting next to her, rolling cookie dough into balls and dropping them in cinnamon and sugar. Snickerdoodles to get back in Kitty's good graces. Earlier, when I went in to say goodnight, Kitty rolled over and wouldn't speak to me because she's still convinced I'm going to try to cut her out of the Paris trip. My plan is to put the snickerdoodles on a plate right next to her pillow so she wakes up to the smell of freshly baked cookies. Margot's being extra quiet. And then, out of nowhere, she looks up from her computer and says, I broke up with Josh tonight, after dinner. My cookie dough ball falls right out of my fingers and into the sugar bowl. I mean, it was time, she says. Her eyes aren't red-rimmed. She hasn't been crying. I don't think. Her voice is calm and even. Anyone looking at her would think she was fine, because Margot's always fine, even when she's not. I don't see why you had to break up, I say. Just because you're going to college doesn't mean you have to break up. Lara Jean, I'm going to Scotland, not UVA. St. Andrews is nearly 4,000 miles away. She pushes up her glasses. What would be the point? I can't even believe she would say that. The point is, it's Josh. Josh who loves you more than any boy has ever loved a girl. Margot rolls her eyes at this. She thinks I'm being dramatic, but I'm not. It's true. That's how much Josh loves Margot. He would never so much as look at another girl. Suddenly, she says, Do you know what Mommy told me once? What? For a moment, I forget all about Josh. Because no matter what I am doing in life, if Margot and I are in the middle of an argument, if I'm about to get hit by a car, I always stop and listen to a story about Mommy. Any detail, any remembrance that Margot has, I want to have it too. I'm better off than Kitty, though. Kitty doesn't have one memory of Mommy that we haven't given her. We've told her so many stories, so many times, that they're hers now. Remember that time, she'll say, and then she'll tell the story like she was there, and not just a little baby. She told me to try not to go to college with a boyfriend. She said she didn't want me to be the girl crying on the phone with her boyfriend and saying no to things instead of yes. Scotland is Margot's yes, I guess. Absently, I scoop up a mound of cookie dough and pop it in my mouth. You shouldn't eat raw cookie dough, Margot says. I ignore her. Josh would never hold you back from anything. He's not like that. Remember how when you decided to run for student body president, He was your campaign manager. He was your biggest fan. At this, the corners of Margot's mouth turned down, and I get up and fling my arms around her neck. She leans her head back and smiles up at me. I'm okay, she says, but she isn't. I know she isn't. It's not too late, you know. You can go over there right now and tell him you changed your mind. Margot shakes her head. It's done, Lara Jean. I release her, and she closes her laptop. When will the first batch be ready? I'm hungry. I look at the magnetic egg timer on the fridge. 4 more minutes. I sit back down and say, I don't care what you say, Margot. You guys aren't done. You love him too much. She shakes her head. Lara Jean, she begins in her patient Margot voice, like I'm a child and she's a wise old woman at 42. I wave a spoonful of cookie dough under Margot's nose, and she hesitates, then opens her mouth. I feed it to her like a baby. Wait and see. You and Josh will be back together in a day, maybe 2. But even as I'm saying that, I know it's not true. Margot's not the kind of girl to break up and get back together on a whim. Once she's decided on something, that's it. There's no waffling, no regrets. It's like she said, when she's done, she's just done. I wish, and this is a thought I've had many, many times, too many times to count. I wish I was more like Margot, because sometimes it feels like I'll never be done. Later, after I've washed the dishes and plated the cookies and set them on Kitty's pillow, I go to my room. I don't turn the light on. I go to my window. Josh's light is still on. And that was To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And this is book 1 of a trilogy. The trilogy has been turned into a series that you can catch on Netflix. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time on Teen Talk Tuesdays. Bye-bye.